So we're going to be talking about the coffee industry in Moyee. As you can see, the revenue of at-home coffee and out-of-home coffee is very different, where out-of-home coffee is 10.44 billion and the at-home coffee is 2.47 billion. This is important because it shows how the cafe experience is and how it's perceived well. But it still shows that there are profits from at-home coffee, just not as much. And then also the sustainability is a huge trend for consumers, and it's a non-negotiable for a lot of French consumers in the coffee industry. And then if we move over to the Moyee coffee, we can see that they are the first fair chain coffee brand. They are a social enterprise and social for-profit company. And the beans are from Ethiopia, 100% specialty coffee, 100% Arabic. Moyee coffee is 100% specialty, as we know. But specifically, the fair chain means that they're focusing on creating a 100% shared value company, where they want to keep the roasting and keep the value of the country of origin. And another great thing is that on their website, they state that they are the only coffee company that consumes more CO2 than it produces. And this is a huge deal for French consumers because, as I mentioned before, sustainability is a huge trend and it's a huge part of what French people believe in. And so the fact that Moyet Coffee is a sustainable company will be great for entering the market in France.
I'm Violet and I'm going over the macro and cage highlights. So first I'll focus on Pestel. We decided to do the social, economic, and environmental factors. For social, we decided to look at the power distance that is in France. So whether it's between professors and their students, parents and their kids, or people considered a higher status versus those considered a lower status, this can be a very important factor to utilize when we are trying to enter the French market. For economic, we looked at the country comparison tool and noted a relatively low indulgence factor. So this means that there is financial caution and they most likely practice moderation and focus on practicality in products, which is a bonus for Moyee because they are an affordable product that does not give up quality for that. It is a very good coffee brand with a very sustainable background, which moves on to the next point, environmental. So France is a world leader in promoting sustainability efforts. They focus a lot on climate change and limiting their carbon footprint, which leads to 40% of consumers in the past have refused to purchase a product they deemed unsustainable or not sustainable enough, which is a very good for Moyee once again because they are the first fair chain coffee company in the world, and sustainability and focusing on the environment is one of their main factors. So another one for Moyee. Next, looking at Cage, we focused on the cultural factor. So going back to the country comparison tool, France rated very high on uncertainty avoidant, which means they're risk adverse and most likely experience caution and even anxiety or disinterest when they're trying new things, such as going from their trusted coffee brand that they've been using for a while to a new one like Moyee. They also have a very strong coffee culture in that coffee in France should be savored and enjoyed socially. It is very different from what we have here in America, where coffee is very just grab and go. In France, it's sit down and relax and be in the moment. And yeah, that is another thing that we can utilize when we are trying to enter the French market. Now, I believe that's all for this slide, and next will be cultural insights and adaptation needs.
Hello, my name is Ian, and I'm going to talk about the cultural insights of France and the adaptational needs that would be beneficial for Moyee coffee when positioned in France. First of all, France has a very rich history regarding coffee consumption. It has been around for centuries and it is embedded in the French culture. This is both a cause and effect of the fact that coffee is perceived as a symbol of socialization as well as being present. So, unlike here in the States, where coffee to go is the main selling point, France values quality of life and togetherness, and they use coffee consumption on a daily basis to reinforce those ideas. In terms of ethics, sustainability, and traceability, there is definitely a rising concern amongst the French people. And on that note, specifically pod and capsule coffee formats are under pressure from environmental regulations due to their unsustainable packaging. Lastly, but certainly not least, the French culture is one that is powered on a smaller and more efficient way of living. Again, quite the opposite to how we live in the States. So, with these cultural insights in mind, what does Moyee Coffee have to consider when thinking about how to market to the French people? First, offering small and elegant packaging to appeal to the efficient and luxurious way of living in France will be very impactful. They should strongly emphasize their fair chain aspect of production and other sustainability practices in order to acknowledge the rising concerns over ethics and sustainability. Promoting socialization and community and straying away from coffee to go formats is something to highlight. And finally, using French history as influence for something as simple like packaging design for the coffee would be helpful, as it would help acknowledge the rich coffee consumption history. Hey, it's me again. This time, I'm going to be talking about consumer and trend insights in France. And when considering these two things, two main points come to mind. First off, as I mentioned in the previous slide, concerns regarding ethics, sustainability, and traceability are on the rise. As a result of this, French consumers are seeking out brands that align with their values and beliefs. But not only that, they are also becoming more favorable towards brands that demonstrate integrity and a strong commitment to making a positive impact in the world. Second of all, during my research, I came across a study that was conducted on French consumers who choose to drink coffee when they are out in venues rather than at home. 37% of these people said that they drink coffee out in venues to relax. 35% said that they do it to savor their coffee, and 20% said that they do it to socialize with others. The remaining 8% was a variety of different answers, but this study kind of just further reinforced to me the idea that France uses coffee consumption to promote quality of life and socialization. So when marketing Moyee in France, this should be a main selling point.
Hi, I'm Vivian, and we're going to be talking about our last slide, which is on the entry strategy recommendations we have for entering the French market, and going along with that is risk mitigation. So our recommendation is to partner with those prominent local coffee shops in that area and sell Moyee products, the whole bean, traditional whole bean bags, as well as capsules, as that is a very popular and common way to consume coffee in France. And we'd be selling those products in store in those local prominent coffee shops, which would be marketing towards both the in-store coffee consumer and the at-home coffee drinker. Going along with that, we would be doing a show don't tell type of television advertisement that would share Moyee's fair trade story from the farm to the table and that connection over a cup of coffee. And lastly, for this part of the slide, we're going to talk about risk mitigation, which is a necessary component of our recommendation, because when we're looking at a country like France that's so risk adverse, it's totally something we need to be aware of with our recommendation. And so the way that we are avoiding risk for our customer is, again, by partnering with prominent local coffee shops, and then with that, prioritizing giving away free samples to customers in store. And before we even get to that point, we want to start by doing research on our market. We were talking about conducting ethnographic studies and kind of implementing that observation style of research, so we know how our customers work in the real world, and so that we can avoid any real life mistakes.